Like, if a car event happens somewhere in the world and Larry's not there to shoot it, did it even happen?
Larry Chen is one of the most sought-after automotive industry photographers.
We got Larry Chen, Hoonigan photographer.
Larry Chen, the world-famous photographer.
He is one of the best photographers working in the automotive medium, bar none.
This is the only time I've ever seen a photographer go to an event and the crowd is chanting the photographer's name.
All right, chill out. He just takes photos. He steals souls.
I think he's the standard of automotive photography.
He's one of the hardest working people you could ever meet. Always smiling too. He's never upset about it.
Larry is the car photographer's photographer.
Definitely one of my favorite photographers ever, and he's such a good dude. Larry Chen.
Let's make it clear, first of all, I want to set up the story for our viewers. You were not born into this. You didn't exactly study photography at school or at college or anything.
Yeah, I never even went to college. I don't know, I just hated school so much. I just couldn't stand it. I just feel like it was just really a waste of my time, and I would just get the best sleep, you know, when I was in class. Like, I was so good at pretending like I was listening, but I was actually sleeping. Unfortunately, I would start snoring sometimes while I was in class, especially in high school, and then everyone would just look at me like, I can't believe this guy's just doing this. Right after high school is when I pretty much really pushed hard on my photography, specifically car photography.
Larry hit the ground running, but in doing so, he quickly realized the financial implications of traveling the world on your own dime.
You know, I got into that situation where I needed money pretty bad. There was one point where I just looked at my bank account and I was thinking, like, I legitimately have to sell everything that I own in order to make rent.
From IT consulting to photographer to the stars, leaning on a number of side gigs offered him the financial lifeline to stay in the game long enough to finally get his first big break. And sure enough, it eventually happened, at his spiritual home nonetheless.
It took about 6 years to get to that point. Over the years, I just tried again to prove myself and to prove that I was worthy of following the series. And I think part of it is because I loved the sport itself. I loved drifting. I loved the people that were into it. I loved just being able to be a part of something greater. Come 2012, their official series photographer was retiring, and they reached out to me, and I couldn't have said yes faster. The series itself is awesome, and following it as a photographer is great, but actually being the official photographer is such an honor to have that task. I mean, because people are going to look at the series, and going forward years, they're going to see it through my lens. Basically doing that and putting my effort into that, I feel like has opened the doors for so many things.
I've got to be honest, I don't remember the first time I met Larry. I think it was Gatibil in about 2012, something like that. We set ourselves such a brutal schedule. We'd be shooting, without a word of a lie, 20 to 25 feature cars in a day. Wow. Larry would naturally be brought in on a job just because his energy, he would just absolutely nail it wherever he is, whenever he is, and gives it everything to the point that he will fall down dead on his feet, but he'll still get there, you know?
Larry is definitely the definition of sleep when you're dead. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody outwork that man. Once he's in work mode, he's staying in work mode until he knows he's got the absolute best possible photo that no one else would ever have gotten, you know?
What is it like shooting Toyota crossing the finish line at Le Mans, hopping on a flight and head over to the top of Pikes Peak in the space of maybe 24 hours or so?
It's like this, okay? They have a list of people, right? And they go down the list. And if the first person doesn't pick up their phone, the second person's gonna get the job, you know? I just had to make it work where I would shoot the finish line, I would, you know, head to the airport, land, and then shoot Pikes Peak in the morning. I couldn't have been more exhausted. Just sleep deprivation and the traveling, and also Le Mans is just so hard on your body. It is so tough. I've been covering Pikes Peak since the last year of the Dirt, which was 2011. And I've been the official photographer for 3 years now. I think that's probably the hardest race that we have to follow every year. There's just something about that place. I don't really know of any racetrack in the world that looks like that. It's well above the tree line. There's very little oxygen up there, and it's so historic, and it's just such a great race to be a part of, and to have that responsibility is great. We love it, and we love pushing hard. I have such a great team that helps me with it, just because it's such a big mountain and such a big race. One of my favorite places to photograph in the world, without a doubt.
What was it like having come from Speed Hunters, where we were probably like the more gritty character there, to arriving at Hoonigan, where you're probably the guy going, maybe we shouldn't jump that car, guys, or, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because I guess I went from the least professional to maybe the most professional, you know?
I guess you could say that. Larry, I guess when you put Larry next to a group of guys like us, he might seem a little tame. But I'll tell you what, I used to think Larry was this really nice, quiet, chill guy. And then I went on a trip to Mexico with him, and we're telling stories and stuff, getting to know each other. And I'm like, God damn, Larry's a savage.
Normal Hoonigan content is amazing. I love it so much. I love being a part of it. But it's like really in your face, and it's hilarious, and it's loud, and it's everything I love about cars. But as much as it is my personality, right now, you know, we're doing the Hoonigan autofocus thing, and it's the thing that you watch before you go to bed. You know, it's the thing that you have on the background. It's not the thing that you watch when you wake up. Our specialty is really to slow down, focus in on the cars, focus in on the story, talk about the photography aspect of it, the culture, the texture, all of that. And, you know, with that said, we also love being part of main channel and just all the other channels that they have going. On top of that, just being able to work with Ken is such an honor.
Oh yeah, by the way, Larry's also the official Gymkhana photographer.
I guess I had to prove myself. They had me on for 4. I did my best. I got as many creative photos as possible, and I guess it opened up their eyes, and they were able to kind of see what I was able to do for them. And then since then, we've just been doing projects upon projects. Climbkhana, other Gymkhanas. Pretty much anytime Ken or the Hoonigans have like a big project, I take on the still side, and we get to tell the story through the stills.
Actually, Ken is just one of many awesome names who Larry regularly works with, and honestly, sometimes it's hard to tell who's a bigger fan of who.
I knew you guys go way back, but I didn't realize you go way, way back.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been working with Larry Chen since the most vivid first project was in China for WDS in 2004. Myself and the Drift Alliance went to Beijing, China. Yeah, I mean, that event, you know, I think started a great relationship between Larry and I, and he's just been extremely supportive of what we do, not only on a friend level, but like a cheerleader level, you know, like he's just been very behind, you know, wow, this is really cool. It's so cool you guys are doing that. Like he's always, you know, just got a positive vibe to him, you know, around me and around what we do at our TR now. I'm drifting the entire Nürburgring this week. Let's do this. Whoa! You know, I want the visually rewarding lifetime photos, you know, that live forever. And so for the past 10 years, at least, you know, he's been our go-to photographer. And I also think he's very inspiring to a lot of up-and-coming photographers and in general, people that, you know, are looking for inspiration to follow their passion.
I want to talk about legacy. Loads of people I've spoken to have said that you have no problem passing on the knowledge that you have. And I open up YouTube, and the sheer amount of workshops that you've done recently prove that you've got so many people that look up to you, and you always take the time to give them as much insight as possible?
Yeah, I think about that all the time with the education portion of what I do, teaching people and showing people for car photography and giving them tips. It's just my way of sharing car culture. Before cameras, phones, and before photography was so easily accessible, when you went to a race, maybe you would bring a point and shoot camera and maybe you would end up with 30 photos, right? But now there's such a big push, and there's just like this a breed of automotive enthusiasts that just go to events for that reason. They want to capture photos of these cars. It doesn't matter how many millions of people have taken photos of this certain car. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to improve people's photography, and I want to at least give these people the baby steps to get into that. And then they can enjoy these cars the same way I'm enjoying them. Up until that point of me actually doing this educational stuff, Canon cameras did not care about me one bit whatsoever. I didn't exist to them. Once I started doing this education portion of my work, that's when their ears perked up, and that's when they're like, hey, maybe this guy can help us. Maybe he can be some sort of ambassador.
I have with me the unreleased, brand new Canon 1DX Mark III cameras. We're gonna take them out for 5 straight days of shooting.
Yeah, it's been such a crazy ride with Canon, and they're so good to work with, and they listen to me, and hopefully we can help them launch way more cameras.
So you just touched on like how it's a dumb job. It's incredible that it even exists. I think the same, and we're definitely very lucky to be able to do what we do. What is the cost of that?
The cost is so much. There's just so much that I have to sacrifice, that I've sacrificed, and I still sacrifice to this day for this job. I sacrifice time with my family, without a doubt. My 2 kids, they don't get to see me enough. My wife, she's so understanding. My health, for sure, without a doubt. Not sleeping enough, not eating right, not exercising enough, or if it's a lot of racing, exercising maybe a little too much and hurting myself. There's a funny video of Jay Leno making fun of me. He's like, all you have to do is this. It's like, that's all you have to do for work. But it's so crazy. It's so physically demanding. The shooting part is not even that bad. It's everything leading up to that. It's getting to the locations. It's making sure you have enough sleep the night before. Even if you're sick, you know, you still have to push hard on work. Obviously you can't do that anymore now, but before I had to do it no matter what. You know, come hell or high water, I was there.
I was going to ask you a bit, but just because you mentioned Jay Leno there, how like cool is that you know you get to go to his cave of wonders and shoot?
I can't even. I to this day I can't really understand it. I don't really think that it's real still. It's so crazy. It started mostly with us hosting an event at his place. Actually, it was one of the first times that he opened his place to the public. I taught a photography class at his place using his cars. Even before that, he invited me onto his NBC show, which was so crazy too. After that, everything kind of snowballed, and being with Jay was really game-changing. It was so groundbreaking for me. And then since then, we've been coming back month after month, photographing stuff for him and his detailing product line, which is Leno's Garage. So we're helping a lot with that on the video and photo side, which allows us to go there once or twice every month.
For as good as anyone may be from a technical perspective, one of the really intangible talents when producing visual media is the ability to identify a moment. Larry Chen has carved himself a career as a curator of moments and is showing no signs of slowing down.
I try to just pick out those moments. Like I understand when things happen and where things potentially could happen, so I try my best to kind of pick out those moments. And You know, when I say things happen, I'm not talking about racing incidents or accidents or whatever. I'm more talking about just when the light is right and when the car looks great and when the people are there. It's just, I always try to one-up myself every single year, you know. If I look at all of my years of collections that I do, every single year I put together a collection of like the best of the best of the best, you know, and it's very hard for me because I shoot so much. I shoot sometimes up to 500,000 photos a year. It's really hard to narrow it down, but every year I do narrow it down, and then I try so hard to top myself year after year, because once I get to that point where I feel like it's kind of going downhill, that's when I know I need to push even harder. I think as a job, what I'm doing, I'm going to do it as long as I can physically do it. I mean, there's going to be one point when I'm physically not able to do this anymore. And who knows how long that's going to be, but I'll tell you right now, I'm going to shoot as much as I can because it's my passion. I mean, the thing is, it's like, what else do you do, you know? What else do you want to do? Be stuck at an office, just sitting in front of a computer all the time? It's just not appealing to me. I'd rather be outside. I'm just gonna keep shooting.